up, my dudes? My name is Rane, and I'm going to be assuming that you already have Musescore installed. In case you don't, I'm going to leave a link in the description that will show you how to do it. But once you're in here, you're just going to click on Musescore. I think that much is obvious. And then you're going to go to Choose Instrument, type in Tap, and then down here you can already see the electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and so on. In my case, I'm going to choose the 7-string guitar and the 5-string electric bass. I'm going to show you in a second how to change the tunings and to add or remove strings. But for now, let's just click on Next. Don't click on Done, that's going to create problems. And now we have to put in some information about our song. Now, I recently did a cover of the song Chimera by Takashi Kiara. So I'm going to be doing the taps for that. And I know the song is around 175 BPM. So you're going to have to click on this and type in your BPM. And I know it's about 139 measures long. So I'm going to type that in. The song is in 4/4 and you can change the key if you want to. In my case, it's kind of irrelevant because, well, you don't really see the key. You just see the strings and the notes, so yeah. Now we can click on Done. And there we go. There we have our sheet. Now I don't really like working in this view. It's a little confusing for me sometimes, so I'm going to switch this to continuous view. Now if we hold Control and scroll up, we can zoom in. And if we scroll down, we can zoom away. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And to move around, you're going to hold the middle mouse button. Now let's change the tuning and the strings of our guitars. I'm just going to left click here and then right click. And staff and part properties. Let's open that. Now we can change the lines which represent our strings to 8. But now I also need to change the strings themselves. So I'm gonna go down to Edit String Data, scroll down to the lowest string, which in here is B1, but I'm gonna change it to A1 because I have drop tuning on that guitar. And then I'm gonna click on New String and add a E1 because I have an H string. And down here you can also change the number of frets that your guitar has, which in my case I think is 24. 2 octaves, yeah. And here on the side you can also change the name of your guitar, instrument, whatever. Now we click Apply and OK. There we go, 8-string guitar. Let's do the same on bass. Edit string data, and I'm going to change this to drop A as well. And down here you can also delete the strings if you happen to need that. Apply and OK. Now there is one button that you must memorize, and that button is N, because once I press N you can see that this little pen tool is enabled, and that will allow us to add notes. So if I deselect that for a second, you can see I'm just selecting the measures, but once I press N and the pen tool is enabled, I can start adding notes everywhere. Speaking of notes, you might have to learn a little bit of music theory. You just gotta know what is a quarter note, an eighth note, 16th note, half note, and all that. Or you can just brute force your way through this program and you will pick it up on the side, kind of. You will learn pretty quickly what those notes do. But yeah, I know that on my bass I start with 3/5. So let's activate the tool by pressing N and just place a note. To change the fret on the note, you just type in the number. In my case, that's 3. And if you disable the pen tool, you can use your arrow keys up, up, up to change the note. Or down, down, down. There we go. Okay, now one thing to note, when you're in the select mode and you happen to click on one of those notes, it's going to change the note that's selected to whatever you end up selecting. So if I click the 16th notes, it's going to change my current note to a 16th note. However, if I press N and enter the create mode, or whatever you want to call it, then it won't change anything except for whatever note you're going to create. So if I click on the 16th note and I create a note, it's automatically going to be a 16th note. So in my case, I want to change this note back to a 8th note. So I'm just going to click that right here. Then I'm going to click N again to go into the create mode. and boom, place a note here, click 5, and there we go. And this next note should also be an 8th note. So I'm going to tab out of the creation mode, select the note that I want to change, and change that to an 8th note as well. That should get you halfway there, pretty much. Up here we have a metronome in case you want to deactivate or activate it. There we go. And for the guitar players, this is probably going to be very interesting. How do you add palm mutes? And that is relatively simple. So over here on the left, we have all the different settings, articulations and stuff that we can do. So I'm gonna add a new palette because this is a lot of stuff and not really easy to work with in my opinion. And I'm gonna name this palette Tabs for simplicity's sake. And then we can drag and drop elements there if we want to, or we just click on more. And I'm gonna look for guitar and drag in this little icon, which is for the palm mute. Bada bam. We also want this bend right here, which I'm gonna explain in a second. And a pre-bend and the vibrato, which I sometimes use for pinch harmonics because I don't think there is one for those. And you can also change the tone if you wanted to do that. All right, there we have it. The palm mutes, bend, pre-bend, squiggly lines for vibrato or pitch harmonica, whatever you want to use it for. And I'm going to use something from the articulations down here, which is the slur, which I usually use to indicate a hammer on or pull off. And I'm going to use this plus sign right here for the muted single notes. I'm going to show you that in a second. Boom. And there we have everything that we need for now. So we have this riff right here. And I want all of these to be palm muted. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to select the first note, hold shift and select the last note. There we go. And then when I click on the palm mute, it's going to palm mute this entire section. Nice. I'm going to turn this into 8th notes. I'm going to insert one more 5 right here. And now I only want these 2 notes to be palm muted. So I'll select this note, and then I'm going to click on this muted thingy, and it's going to create it on top for some reason. You can also move these around by just pulling them down. And now only this note and these ones are going to be muted. Nice. And because I usually play this with a hammer on, I will do this. There we go. So now let's create a bend. So I'm gonna use 8th notes for this. And the way we insert the bend is by simply clicking on the first note and then clicking on the full bend. Boom. Now let's do a pre-bend real quick. So I'm gonna put an 8 here. And I want to drop down to a 7. By doing a pre-bend. So I'm just gonna select the first note again and put it on a pre-bend, and it's gonna create a half step for us. You can also change this by just using the arrow key again. So now it would be a 2-step bend. And the same thing on the first bend as well. You can just select this note and then with the arrow keys go up or down to make it a half step bend or a 2-step bend and stuff like that. And yeah. I hope that is everything that you need to know for now. I'm not exactly a master on this, so if you have any questions, I think you might have better luck asking ChatGPT or any AI of your choice about Musescore, or just, consult the good old Google or YouTube for some tutorials. But I hope for now that those will help you out, create some tabs, and yeah, enjoy. See ya!